What's up, guys? Today we're going to be tackling something that's fairly easy to do on pretty much any ATV, but it's going to make a huge impact on the way that the quad looks and the way that it feels and handles. Alright, so if you've been following the channel, you know this is an '07 Raptor 700. Right now it kind of looks like a piece of crap, but really the plastics in the tank are off and the tires and wheels are off. That's pretty much it. It has some kind of electrical issue. But aside from that, if you look at these bars and the grips, these just look like crap. They really do. And they don't feel much better when you're riding it. They're the stock bars. Everything is pretty much factory except these, believe it or not, ODI grips, but they're really weird looking. And the guy before me put this ASV lever on, kind of got rid of the parking brake and everything like that. But basically, I'm just going to show you guys a pretty cheap way to put some fat bars on your bike. You don't have to do anything crazy, and just about anybody can do it with basic tools. Just going to make the bike look nicer, and I really like the feel of the fat bars. I think they're more solid, and sometimes they're a little bit wider, and I just like the way that the bike handles with them. It's one of the first things I do to pretty much any quad that I buy. So you're probably wondering what all of this crap is. Well, if you've been following the project, this is all of the parts that I just got in for the Raptor 700. We're not going to be utilizing everything here today, but we are going to be using this. If you can guess what this is, pretty obvious. And we're also going to be throwing these Moose Stealth grips on. Should look pretty cool. And we're also going to be putting on a set of blue anodized risers, which should be coming in the mail within the next hour. So hopefully that part will come, or I can't complete this project today. But if that's the case, I'll just wait for tomorrow and then post this later. All right, so let's get at it here. First thing we're going to do is just remove all the components from the steering. So we'll take off our switch. This is just held on by 2 Phillips screws in most cases. If it's a Yamaha, it's probably going to look just like this one. Then we'll take off our clutch perch. This one here has Allen head screws. Whatever yours is, it might be an 8mm if it's stock, like my brake setup over here. That's kind of like what comes from the factory typically. We'll also take that off, and we're going to take our thumb throttle off as well. The grips we don't even have to worry about taking off because we're putting on new bars, and these bars are slightly bent, so these are actually just going to get scrapped anyway. And then we'll also take off our little ignition plate. That usually pops right off. There's 2 kind of C-clips that clip onto the bar, and we may have to relocate that as well because the new bar is going to be thicker. So let's get these components off. Okay, so we have our components off the bars. Now in some cases, you're going to have these zip ties that are holding the cables to the bar. And you can just snip those off, or if you want, sometimes like these Yamaha ones, you can actually pull these apart and reuse them. In my case, I'm just going to snip them off and put new zip ties on. So let's get those off. Also guys, this black sleeve up here, that's just a spacer to keep your front brake master cylinder and your thumb throttle appropriately spaced apart. You can reuse it if you want. It has a gap down here. You can pop that off, but I'm not going to reuse it. So now that the components are off the bars, you can really see that this side over here is bent down. These bars definitely need to be replaced, and it's going to feel a lot better when they're nice and straight. So we're just going to go ahead and remove these handlebar clamps. You have 4 12mm bolts in this case. Most of the time that's what it's going to be. You might have some Allen bolts, but for this one, most Yamahas, 12mm. If your bars look like this, you're going to want to take them and throw them as far as you possibly can. Oh yeah, so there you have it. These bars look pretty awesome. The titanium color looks pretty sick. It's got the little measurements there to line it up once you have it clamped down. Nice solid bars. These are the clamps. These are pretty nice pieces, man. I think this was $9.21 shipped for CNC aluminum clamps. You can see this here. That fits in where the 7/8 inch bar goes. It gives it, this one gives about a 1/2 inch of a rise, and then now you have the 1 1/8 inch size clamp. So you will have successfully converted your bars. Pretty easy to do. Plus, these look sharp. So yeah, and then matched with these gray half waffle grips. Should look pretty sweet on the bike. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount up these clamps. Alright guys, so I have the bottom portions of the clamps right here. You basically just take the bolts out from when the top one's on here. Just pop your bolts out, you get the bottom half, and we're gonna mount them this way with the wider part going inside. And basically what you do, you just throw them on there, take the mounting hardware that came with it, and you're going to bolt these in. I like to use a little bit of Loctite on these, just a little bit, only because you're probably never going to be removing these. Going to place our bars in here, try to get them about even. You'll be able to adjust it, so don't worry about it. We're not going to use any Loctite on these bolts. Try to run these in evenly, otherwise this piece is going to be cockeyed. Okay, so we have our bars all in there. You don't want to worry about cranking these down too tight just yet, because we're going to have to adjust the bars once everything's on there. And if you see these two gaps are different, that's like I was talking about before. You know, it's okay. These things kind of rock back and forth because there's a little bit of a gap in them. If you want, you can play with them until they're exact same gap, or just make sure they're nice and tight. It doesn't really matter if you have different gaps there. So next thing we're going to do is throw some grips on. So at this point I like to sit on the quad and adjust the tilt of my bars to where it's most comfortable for me. Now you can use any method you like to apply your grips. In this case I'm going to use a thin coat of clear coat on the bars, and then I'm just going to shoot a quick shot right into the grip itself before I put it on. It's a good idea to keep a paper towel or a rag handy for overspray. Then quickly before your glue dries, position them to the way you like. Alright, so now I got the grips on there, and I've also adjusted the angle of my bars. This is where they're going to stay. So at this point I can go ahead and tighten these down. Don't go crazy tightening them. Just make sure that they're nice and snug because you don't want your bars pulling back on you. Okay, so now we're going to put our components on the handlebars, but we're not going to snug them up because we still want to adjust them. Okay, so we have all our controls on there, and at this point you're just going to want to hop on the quad and sit on it the way you would when you ride, and you're just going to want to adjust the levers and all your buttons to, you know, where they're ergonomic for you or where you like them, and then snug everything down. Alright, so now all of our components are in place and they're locked down. If this time, it might be a good idea to run over everything, make sure nothing's loose. You want to squeeze everything, twist everything, make sure everything's nice and tight. You can also jump on the bike and, you know, really wrench on the bars, make sure they're not going to move around. I'm not going to do it right now because my glue is still drying. At this point, if you want to put zip ties back on, you can go ahead and do it. Depending on what kind of quad you're working on, if you still have this factory ignition cover, this Yamaha one, you can actually take a file and file this out just to make it a little bit bigger so that it'll fit on these 1 1/8 inch bars. And like in this case, you can see it'll still fit right over the clamps, but I'm not sure that I'm even going to do that in this case because I do like those anodized bar clamps. I think that looks pretty cool. So if I put this on there, it's going to be like they're not even on. So most likely what I'm going to do is relocate this key, but that's kind of neither here nor there because on another quad it's going to be a different story anyway. Alright guys, so that's pretty much going to be it for converting your stock handlebars to Fatbars. Real quick guys, I just want to show you where I get my parts. This is ebay.com. This is where I get most of my stuff. You can see the risers are right here. I paid $9.21 for them. I think the price has actually been lowered. Now it's $9. Only now they have $2.99 shipping. But either way, it's about 10 bucks for these. You can see I got the blue ones, but there's tons of other vendors. You can get them in pretty much any color that you want. You can also get these in different heights. This one raises the bar about 1/2 inch. And right here are the bars that I got. You can see they're 1 1/8 inch fat bars. You can get this in a bunch of different colors too. This is just from this vendor, but just like the risers, there's tons of other vendors. You can pretty much get any color that you want. And also, just like the risers, these come in different heights as well. You can see these ones are mid. You can also get low ones and you can get taller ones too. But as you can see, you're looking at about 24 bucks plus 4 bucks shipping, that's 28 bucks. Another 10 bucks for the risers. And then you've got to get your grips too, but you're still looking at under 50 bucks, right around that price mark. Much cheaper than buying a whole nother aftermarket steering stem, aftermarket risers, and stuff like that. It can wind up costing you $200-300 bucks, and you're still going to get the same feel as that more expensive setup. And these are pretty durable also, guys. Like I've stated in another video, you know, I've had this set up on other quads and I've rolled it, and they've lasted pretty well. So I definitely recommend this. Good setup to do if you're trying to save some cash. Now remember guys, this can be done on any quad just about, so it doesn't have to be like this Raptor 700. Now, unfortunately I can't show you the finished product, you know, in terms of the whole quad, only because this bike has a lot more work that needs to be done to it, and I don't want to put all the plastics on it and then take it back off just to take a quick video. So you guys get the idea. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please comment, like, and subscribe. And until then guys, I will see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this. Take it easy guys, have a good weekend.